Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. If you're new, my name's Michelle and we are getting into House of the Dragon Season 2 Episode 7 today. But before we do, if y'all can drop a like on the video because it really helps in the algorithm and I'd appreciate it. Now, last episode we left off with Rhaenyra taking off from Dragonstone to confront Adam because he's technically Sea Smoke claimed him. I like that. I really like that reversal because usually you always hear about dragon riders going out to claim their dragon, but not really about a dragon claiming their rider. So that was a very fun take that they did. Like Sea Smoke went to go find Adam and had him claim him, like choose your rider. And I feel like that's a really, not to say it's a better way to do it, but it is a very, it's so weird to say it gives the dragon agency. I mean, ultimately, even if you're going to the dragon to try to get it to claim you, it's still their choice. But I don't know, it's just so interesting to see him chase you down. It's like the cat distribution system that everyone says, I choose you. Now, I think Rhaenyra going off to confront, she doesn't know who claims Sea Smoke, but going off to confront Adam is I think it's a really good outlet for her because she is very frustrated by being the monarch because there's just such limitations that you can do. There's just so much risk you can take because if you die, you kind of you have to be very sensible about the things you are choosing to risk. What are you willing to risk your life for? And you really have to be choosy about these things because you are the monarch, you are the succession. So Rhaenyra having the opportunity to go out there and confront Adam, I think, is very liberating for her because clearly she's this animal in a cage, just feeling the need to do something to feel useful in all of this. And I think going out there is just a really good outlet. And I think also combined with her title, it's also her being a woman, and there's always those constraints of what she can do in the war effort. With that being said, I really am excited to see Rhaenyra go off and find him. Hopefully the episode sort of starts off with Adam on the back of Sea Smoke and they're checking, they're getting the feel of each other and he's learning how to dragon ride and just having fun. And then Rhaenyra comes and hopefully this is an opportunity for her to use her diplomacy, really convince someone to join her side. Because I don't think we've seen Rhaenyra, we've seen Jace, we've seen Rhaenys, we've seen Daemon, even though I think he's struggling, but we've seen these characters go out there and convince someone to join her side and to back her claim. We haven't really seen Rhaenyra work to get people to back her claim. I'm trying to think in season 1, the only season 1 she wasn't really there was doubt on whether or not she'd even ascend the throne and whether or not how a woman would be received, but I don't think she really had to go out there and I do think Rhaenyra could have done more in terms of trying to get people allies, people when Viserys dies, you back me, going out there and get allies. We never really saw Rhaenyra be active in that. I think she just kind of married Daemon and that was the extent of her trying to secure support for her claim. I wish Rhaenyra I wish in season 1 if we got more episodes or more seasons, we could have slowed the show down and maybe even taken 2 seasons to really establish Rhaenyra to go out there and try to get allies and earn her title and to really bolster her as someone who is worthy of the role. Because I do think Daemon and Alice had a very interesting conversation about, Daemon says Rhaenyra never even wanted the throne, and I don't think that's accurate. I think maybe if he's referring to before she was named heir, she never really gave it much thought. I think Rhaenyra's scope was my father is going to keep getting my mother pregnant and she's going to keep hurling towards her death. She's clearly how much longer before she dies trying to bring forth this son, that I feel Rhaenyra was always left feeling she wasn't good enough and her dad would all like to be considered heir. I don't think it was necessarily she wanted the throne prior to him like saying, okay, you are now my heir. Once she was named heir, she was very adamant about not being disinherited in favor of Aegon. Like that was something she really wanted to claim, and her telling Kristen Cole, I am the crown and I'm not trading it for like whatever fantasy life you are painting out for us. I'm not doing that. So Daemon saying like, oh, she never wanted it, I think maybe on some level, yes, like prior to being named heir, but after she was named, she absolutely wanted the throne. And then there was that shift where when adult Rhaenyra took over, she did not want it anymore, because the consequences and the reality of having to actually go out there and secure it, I think, was just too much for Rhaenyra to really grapple with and fight for. I don't think she wanted the throne that much. I feel like it just didn't mean much to her other than what her father told her about Aegon's dream and his prophecy. But I do wish, so maybe that's why we didn't get like Rhaenyra going out there and securing allies and doing what she could to earn her inheritance. Because she does say that to Lucerys in the finale of season 1, that in time she realized she had to earn her inheritance. Granted, I don't think she ever did earn it. We never, at least if she did and she built a rapport with people throughout Westeros, we never got a chance to see it. And it's certainly not playing out here in season 2. But I just hope that when she does approach Adam, we get an opportunity to see her, like maybe Adam isn't, well, he's already working for Corlys, who, and that's his father, and he's already Team Black. So I guess there's like, I don't see him. I wish, I don't know, because I haven't seen the scene yet, but I like, if Adam was sort of set up to be someone she had to convince, or maybe during the claiming of Vermithor and Silverwing, that is where we'll get to see Rhaenyra's diplomacy shine. Hopefully she can like sort of convince someone to join her cause, like be willing to fight and die for her to end up on the throne. Because we haven't really, like, we saw Jacaerys treat with the phrase Kragan. We never got a chance to see him with Jean, Aaron, but we've gotten Jacaerys's, we've gotten a chance to see him be like a diplomat, and he's not bad. Like, I think he did pretty well with the phrase, and so he's learning as he's going. And speaking of Jace, I do think there's a lot of similarities between him and Rhaenyra when they were younger. Like, I feel like Rhaenyra always struggled with Viserys to prove herself. Like, if you were like thinking back to season 1, she was always trying to like prove that she was worthy, like try to get her father to see her no longer as his little girl but his heir. And I think Jacaerys is in the same position that Rhaenyra is. I feel like Rhaenyra isn't necessarily her father, but I do think the feelings of inadequacy that Jace is grappling with, I feel like Rhaenyra grappled with it as well. And whereas Rhaenyra probably felt like it's because she's a woman that she's not like it was her, because given her speech to Mysaria, she really just blankets it like her being born a woman is what like left her feeling inadequate in regards to not being taken seriously as heir, whereas by her father and by the realm. Whereas Jacaerys is also grappling with those feelings, mostly because his mother is operating out of a place of both love and fear. So it's interesting to see both Jacaerys and Rhaenyra grappling with similar feelings of inadequacy in regards to them as heirs to the throne. I don't know if Jacaerys is the same age as Rhaenyra when she was named heir in the TV show. Books, no, but in the TV, like I wonder what the age is, if they were of similar ages when we saw Rhaenyra struggling with Viserys and now Jacaerys struggling with Rhaenyra. It's like you're seeing similar patterns. They have the same feelings, but not because of the same reasons. Like, it's interesting, like Rhaenyra felt that way because she was a woman, whereas Jacaerys just feels that way, like he's inadequate because of his mother's love and fear of his death. So just seeing that play out, and I wonder how, I really hope that relationship, like towards the back end of the season, like as the season wraps up, we see Jacaerys and Rhaenyra unite and compromise and make amends and really just become a fortified unit. I really want that for them. And his there was that moment where he looked at Mysaria and Rhaenyra, and you can tell he felt some type of way about not being included in what they have going on. And it just, it piles onto Jacaerys even more that, she doesn't, like, it's interesting because Rhaenyra's like, my own son doubts me. Well, he thinks you don't believe in him either. And I'm like, this can be solved with some communication, people. Like, I don't think Rhaenyra doesn't believe in Jacaerys, and I don't think Jacaerys doesn't believe in his mother. It's just they're not privy to each other's thoughts, to their actions. They have to go behind each other's back. Like, Jace had to go behind his mother's back to go secure the crossing at the twins because he didn't feel like she would let him go. And I don't think Rhaenyra would let him go because last time she let him go, Lucerys ended up dead. So you can see why she's more willing to endanger Baela's life and put her at risk rather than put Jacaerys at risk. Even though I do think that's a little messed up. I do think that's because Baela's not her. Well, she is technically her blood just through like sheer incest, but she's not Baela's mother. And so while they are friendly and while they do seem to have a good relationship, you can tell she's more willing to risk Baela's life than she is Jacaerys. Baela even said as much, and Jacaerys even said it. Like, she gladly sends you out there while I'm still here stuck. And I think it's very much a trauma response because she just lost 2 children. Like, Rhaenyra is still grieving. Like, Rhaenyra, Jacaerys, they're all still grieving Lucerys' death. It hasn't been that much time, and I hope the show does reference Lucerys one more time before the season ends. But enough about Dragonstone drama. But let's jump into Harrenhal drama. Daemon is, hopefully he's getting somewhere. He asked Alice Rivers for help and she came through. So hopefully as we wrap up with like this episode and the next one is the finale, we get Daemon like back on course. Like, enough of the hallucinations and the fuckery. Get your shit together, please, Daemon. That's all I'm asking of him. Then we have King's Landing. Aemon is very much a little tyrant. And not only that, he's as much as he said in like season 1, I'm the one who studies our history, I'm the one who trains and all of that, you would think it would have lent him the wisdom, all of this reading and learning that you've done, to keep your mother close, because she would have advised him, don't shut those gates. You, like, those riots, like, the city is like a powder keg and it's going to turn on them. It's already turning. And I don't know if there was a way to get the sheep into the dragon pit covertly. I wish we would have gotten a scene where we could have like well, I mean, Aemon, I doubt Aemon would have cared. Aemon all but said he does not care about the people, which is funny because Aegon seemed to have cared a lot more about the people, or maybe just he wants the people to like him. I think that's what it is. Like, I think Aemon and Aegon are both, they both don't truly care for the small folk, but Aegon is so insecure. I think they're both insecure, but in different ways. I think for Aegon, he's just insecure in the sense that nobody loves him, nobody cares about him, and getting the people, the small folk on his side can help bolster those feelings of being unloved by both his father and mother. And probably his uncle as well. But Aegon at least had his insecurities, had him wanting to appear that he cares about the small folk, as we saw when he was, what was it, episode 2 or 3, when he was on, or was it episode 1? I honestly don't remember. It was one of the first couple of episodes where he was on the throne. I'm gonna say it was episode 1, and he was like talking with the people, talking with Hugh, trying to come up with solutions, even though Otto was like, hey, slow your roll now, this is a lot you're putting out there. But the desire to do right by the people was there for Aegon. Now, whether it was it was like it's him trying to become beloved by the people and prove that he deserves this seat because his father never named him heir, and he's like trying to earn it for himself. It's sort of like Stannis. Like, if you know the books, I don't think the show ever touched on the true extent of Davos and Stannis' relationship, but Davos essentially said, you want the people to back you, because God knows Stannis has never been loved by the people. But if you, how about you put them first? Like, don't look for the people to like put you in power. You do for the people, and then they will put you on power. Like Stannis's worldview had to be shifted by Davos, and I think Aegon is operating in that sense. Initially, when he took the throne, he's like, I will do right by the people, and the people will help to legitimize these feelings that I deserve the throne. Like, I should have been named heir all this time. So that's just my take on Aemon and Aegon's differences and how they interact with the small folk. I do think Aemon has made mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. I don't think he's done anything right, even in Larys. Like, initially at first, when you see him call Larys a toad and shoo him off, it's like, yeah. But if you notice, he immediately goes to Aegon and is building this relationship and trying to be the only person who's on his side and trying to strengthen him and not look at him differently now that he's this hurt, this broken, this uncertain on where his future goes. I definitely think that Larys is not going to back Aemond. He's not truly there because Aemon's not there for him. And I think Aemon showed his cards in terms of Larys. Like, he's now actively looking to get rid of him. And he's not only trying to get rid of him, he's now sending him to go secure Otto, the person who, like, it's clear Larys wanted to be Hand. And he's like, no, you're not going to be Hand, but you can go all the way out to Old Town and go get the man I want to be Hand. Like, you're going to piss Larys off. And Larys is a very powerful person. So it's like, is that really smart? Like, in the moment, it's so fun to watch, but when you actually like take a pause and you think about it, Larys is not an enemy that you want to make. And he's clearly already insinuating himself and embedding himself with Aegon in this very adult state. So you can only imagine if and when Aegon comes around, he's gonna have an ally there. He's gonna like lean on Larys the most, and he's alienating his mother. I mean, he completely dismissed her. He didn't even acknowledge the words that were coming out of her mouth, and she, like I said it last episode, she's not someone that you should be dismissing. She has some of the most experience at that table. Listen to her, but, you know, he'd rather listen to Otto over Alicent. I do think that's linked to her being a woman and also his resentments towards her. I do think there are resentments there, even though she seemed to have, I mean, she did try to go all out to avenge his eye being taken, but I think that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. I mean, everything she said to Rhaenyra in her little speech didn't really have much to do about Aemon, and more so about all the slights that the system she works in and lives in has done to her. So it was more so about her than it was about Aemon when it got down to the nitty gritty of it. But Aemon being hurt and not avenged or justice being done for him just was like, that was like the straw that broke the camel's back, and it just opened up the floodgates. So I think that's where we're at. Like, right now, Rhaenyra, hopefully she has sea smoke. She's right in that, you know, once word spreads about what happened to Stefan, not a lot of people are going to want to offer themselves up for this, but she should keep going. She should keep trying, because Vermithor and Silverwing are your largest dragons and they are your best bet. The riots, Mysaria is very, 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 very useful and great plan she came up with. Hopefully this romantic relationship does not backfire. Hopefully it doesn't. Just because this show has changed so much, like a lot has been altered, that just even reading Fire and Blood won't help you much. if at all. Like, you might learn their names, but even their appearances are different than what they're in the book. So their ages, their appearances, like, you can read Fire and Blood, but it really won't. Like, the only thing you're clicking in on is their names, because I don't even know whether or not their fates will be the same. And you can make a lot of changes just under the guise of the word propaganda. Like, it's interesting. Like, Fire and Blood is such an interesting thing to adapt, particularly this section, well, any part of Fire and Blood, but you can always make these changes and do it under the guise of it's all propaganda. Anyways, I've been talking for like damn near 20 minutes, and this is just the intro. So let me just get into this episode. So grab a drink, grab a snack, whatever it is you like to do when you're at your favorite reactions. Just get comfortable and let's get to. We start off right here. I like the consistency of sea smoke. No melanin, you don't ride me.
You stand before the Queen of the Seven Kingdoms with a dragon of House Targaryen. What do you want?
To learn the ways of dragon riders. And to serve my queen.
Oh. Okay, Adam. That was easy enough.
What is your parentage?
My mother was a shipwright.
My daddy is your hand. Your hand.
No one of consequence.
You have done something I feared impossible.
Huh? He's giving her hope.
I am glad of it. Think you can get him to Dragonstone?
I can try.
Aww. I love this. Okay, we're getting somewhere.
The queen is unharmed.
What of the rider? Do we know who he is?
He appears to be a shipwright in your employ, Lord Hand.
A commoner.
He's like, oh shit, which one of my bastards?
Seizing dragons.
He didn't seize it.
Secured.
Sea Smoke claimed him. What y'all gonna do?
So he serves you, and not himself. That it's lucky.
Lucky? Or somehow ordained? Sea Smoke chose him.
You trust this man?
What choice do I have? He has a dragon. Without him, I have only Cyrax. You may give Aemond a second thought.
I once worked in a pleasure house where generations of Targaryen princelings had their revels. There are 80 of their bastard progeny at least.
You speak of the lowborn.
They are as like to serve you as highborn lords or ladies, perhaps more.
But in the highborn houses, there is
Predictability.
an ancient fealty.
Exactly.
Your royal half-brothers, Aegon and Aemond, whose blood is pure, who wage war against you.
Well, they were raised to do it. This is a tricky thing. I see why Rhaenyra's...
Common shipwright vows to serve you, while your brothers seek to destroy you. The order of things has changed, your grace.
For 20 years, the lords of this realm levied insults at my sons behind my back. Let us raise an army of bastards.
My condolences on the passing of your grandson. But the Crown congratulates you on your ascension to the head of your house and Lord Paramount in the Riverlands. Truly glorious. Well done.
Is this a little boy? Okay, yeah.
It does seem to me that you've made rather a mess here, countenancing barbarities in the Queen's name.
Whose side are you on?
We recognize the authority of the named heir Queen Rhaenyra, and your own, as her king consort.
Yeah, consort.
Here then is tradition. Grover Tully is dead. Lord Oscar raised up in his place. You have been summoned here to swear anew your fealty to him, and as his bannermen, answer his call.
Why should we now follow a boy younger than my own sons?
'Cause
when you
he's
will
the
align
heir.
with one who will desecrate the innocent to reach his aims.
I did only what was necessary, my lord.
Well,
No more traitor to his land than you, Willem Blackwood.
I take to heart your words, Lord Piper. And I agree, I am young.
I see where this is going. Okay, so if they have a problem with the Blackwoods and the atrocities they committed, if he's going to secure the Riverlands armies through Oscar's allegiance, we might have to chop off some heads of the Blackwoods or offer them up. Like, that's probably the only way to, like, make this right. Somebody's going to have to die.
I see no reason to cast aside loyalty. No matter how loathsome I may find her representative, the prince.
King, mind your tongue, boy.
Will you have our army or not?
It's interesting, he called him king consort when it was just them, but in front of everyone who hates him, he calls him prince. He's like trying to establish himself in front of them.
I am Lord Paramount of all river houses. And there is only one answer for the crimes you visited upon your neighbors.
Yeah, I knew it. Somebody's about to get the axe. Oh, shit.
His Grace wishes to show contrition for his acts and to prove himself deserving of our banners. Denounce your crimes and dispense justice.
Oh dear.
Oh, Simon! Oh, Simon. He's like that little old man in the back, just observing everything, like in horror, always like, oh. He's like, well, no. Time to kill him. Oh, jeez. Yeah, you knew that was gonna happen. Really should be your head being lopped off alongside him. Consider y'all both consented to the attacking of children.
I will retire now, Sir Rickard.
Where's Allison going?
When does your grace mean to return to the city?
I'm not yet certain I do.
I don't know what the hell's going on with Allison's character.
Claiming dragons. Was it her idea? Lady Massaria?
Oh, shit.
These people are courageous. Mongrels.
Yikes.
Think what is at stake.
I know well what is at stake. House Targaryen is the blood of the dragon. If any may lay claim to it, what are we then?
The rightful rulers of the Seven Kingdoms.
And silver-haired dragon riders decides he wants to rule the Seven Kingdoms.
What else would you have me do? Jace, with these riders, we can end a needless war. I may take my rightful place on my father's throne.
And when you die?
You are my heir.
Shit. I see it now. You're just opening
Did you think I
more
would have dark hair?
Oh, Jace.
When you took Harwin Strong into your bed, did you think I might favor him, or did it not cross your mind?
Jaceres.
I'm no fool, Mother. Yet I may argue my legitimacy to succeed you because I have a dragon, and now you say you'll strip that from me too.
Shit. Oh, this might be my favorite Jace scene.
I mislike all of this.
Then don't pursue it.
But I cannot gainsay that which the gods have laid before me.
Shit. That may be my favorite Jace scene. I gotta pause it. That opens up so many doors. You know, Jace is pointing out something very true. While this may be our only option, I do think that he's broaching some very valuable concerns that this could once again just open the door for another succession crisis, because if Rhaenyra claims the throne and Jace is supposed to go after her, and now you have all these other dragon riders who don't look like Targaryens, they're not, you know, they don't have the white hair either. His claim is literally, I mean, it's like what Allison said. He I think she said it in the first season, like, it's a surprise his dragon egg even hatched, but it did, and that was the legitimacy of his birth. Really did, it wasn't just the last name Velaryon, it was the fact that his dragon egg hatched in the cradle. That was a huge part of him being legitimate, of him being a Targaryen. Like, this is part of it. And now having all of these bastards pop up out of nowhere and claim dragons weakens Jace's claim even more, and any one of them can now challenge for the throne after her death. It does just open a whole other catastrophe waiting down the line. So, and that question, did you think I'd have dark hair? Like, Jace's, I feel like this is a lot of, I do think that we've only had Jace bring up his illegitimacy. Like, the whole fight that happened between him and Aemond, like, it all really took off after he called them bastards. Like, it's a part, I'm not going to say Jace hates himself, but the way he refers to them as mongrels and lowborn, like, these must be feelings he's carried within himself all this time as well. Like, constantly saying, like, his mom always used, like, I remember Rhaenyra saying, you are, you know, her child, like, you are Jacaerys Targaryen. That's all that matters. But, like, it doesn't change the fact that he has black hair and white skin. And then you have Rhaena and Baela, whose mother is his mother is the sister of his supposed father. And you see, and Rhaenyra and Daemon are uncle and niece, and you see what those two of them, Baela and Rhaena, and they're not twins here. I don't think they're twins in the show. In the books they're twins, but here they're not even twins. So the fact that these are two separate pregnancies and they look the same, I mean, there's like no variation. Like, they're both pretty much the same skin color. So what the hell happened here where you had 3 children? And I will say that is still so reckless of Rhaenyra. When I tell you, after Jace came out with black hair, you close the motherfucking knees, or you have, what is it called again? The tea? Oh my god, what is it freaking called? Oh, moon something. It's slipping my mind right now. But you have that fucking tea steeping as when I'm gonna say something so foul and flagrant, but the second Sir Harwin Strong comes in you down that fucking tea. You have it steeping on your bedside table if you're going to continue having sex with him, because to just pop out these babies was so wild. Like, 3 of them, like, listen, that, like Jacaerys says it, like, after I came out with dark hair, you didn't think to slow your roll here? You just had Lucerys and then Joffrey, like, in the span of like 10 years, you pushed out 3 kids with black hair and white skin. Ma'am, like, and that's something that I always think was so reckless of Rhaenyra, because ultimately, will you have to like deal with the fact that your children have black hair and white skin? Absolutely. It's not just, you know, I think when they're children, it's easy, well, not easy. Well, yeah, it's easy for you to not understand or realize that these boys are going to have to live with that too. Whereas for Rhaenyra, it's all on her, so she can't really see the implications that Jacaerys is gonna have to grow up with this knowledge. Like, he looks at himself, and like, Rhaena's right there. He grew up with Rhaena. I know Baela grew up on Driftmark, but like, he grew up next to Rhaena, and that's his father's sister's child. That's like his aunt, like their cousin. Like, they look completely different. It's like what Aegon said in Driftmark, we have eyes, we can see. And so you can tell Jacaerys is grappling with so much self-doubt and self-hate and questioning, and now it's like the one thing he probably held on to make himself feel better was the fact that he is a dragon rider, and now all of these like bastards are coming out the woodwork and they're dragon riders. And so I think it's not just a succession question that's being posed even more, like it's another succession question that's like being like not, we're already in a succession crisis, but now we're opening up another one to solve one. So Jace is like pointing out this is what could happen, and secondly, it's an assault against his own, what he's told himself to comfort himself for being a bastard. I'm gonna pause, play, because I've been talking for so long, but that was probably my favorite Jacaerys scene, and I want more of that dynamic, that conflict of him hating other bastards, because it's like he is one, and no amount of mommy telling him you are Jacaerys Targaryen is going to erase the feelings within him. And ultimately Rhaenyra does play a role in cultivating that. Both her, Harwin and Laenor to some extent, like they're all responsible for this boy grappling with this level of self-hate.
Word is, Rhaenyra is recruiting small folk to go to Dragonstone.
Oh, fuck that.
They're looking for Targaryen bastards. Boats leave tonight.
Me?
Hour of the back.
His face like,
This is it.
oh shit.
Well, that's a shame, because I'd have been first in line if it wasn't for my injury. Because my leg hasn't been the
Are
same
you touched? He's saying you can claim a dragon.
I can't be sure it's all true.
You can't
like,
mean that you've been drinking.
And tell everybody you're Balon's kid.
They won't be happy.
I'll be very unhappy.
Never live it down.
Never let it down. Come on, Ulf, the time has come.
Come on.
They're gonna make him go just to hold up his story.
I never knew my father. But I did know my mother. She worked in a pleasure house.
Oh, Jaehaerys' daughter, right?
I was ashamed of her. I tried to make my way with my own hands. I could not protect you. I could not keep our girl alive.
Oh shit, she died? Did I miss her? Oh my god.
I have to do something.
Damn. Oh shit. Oh. Shit.
Corras maestas. Ziris aldriza exio istosaor. Sesir bonidaor.
Vasir, Jaihosa, Ponte Loviledis.
Ao ponte aolovi.
Yeah, what do you mean gods, Rhaenyra?
The
Dragon Lords are rebelling against this. Ooh. Bitch. Okay, maybe we need to heed the Dragon Lords. I mean the Dragon Keepers. Oh. Fuck. We're doing this without the Dragon Keepers?
I used to think I knew what it was to claim a dragon. But I understand now that what I thought I knew is ash in the wind. Each of you has left behind a life to answer this call. A life to which you might never return. Will be transformed. No man or woman can face a dragon and be otherwise.
I love her outfit so fucking much.
Aspect of change. Even death given the alternatives. Privation, starvation, war. With these 2 dragons added to our number, the enemy will have no choice but to give way. The dragon, named Vermithor, is the largest in the world after Vhagar, and perhaps the most fierce. He's called the Bronze Fury.
Y'all, this might be my favorite episode.
We'll go to him now.
Now? Oh, damn.
And
a little food, maybe a Last Supper? Something? Shit.
May the gods bless you.
Well, fuck. Maybe a little Last Supper before they go off to die. Oh, God. Shit. So how they're gonna do this? Like, just, round them up? Y'all, I'm loving this episode. I'm loving the direction. I'm loving Rhaenyra commit to, regardless of, like, the consequences. She's, like, found a path. And while it may go wrong, she has a path and she's pursuing it. Like, there's some kind of direction this plan gives her. I love it. I love it. I love it, y'all. I'm loving this episode so much. Ah, shit. These little ones ain't never seen something like this before. Oh, fuck.
Vermitus Lukiri.
Oh my goodness. He's like, did you bring me lunch? He's gorgeous. Oh, is Masari about to leave? Just in case. Oh, fuck. Okay, Vermithor. I wonder if dragons can recognize that she's a dragon rider, but she belongs to another dragon. Like, they should be able to sense that she's already claimed a dragon. You can see the confidence. Damn, that's it. This is beautiful. This has to be the best animated dragon we've seen so far. You know what this reminds me of? Have y'all ever been on the Jurassic Park ride right before you go, like, down the drop and the big ass T-Rex head comes up at you right before you drop? That's what it gives me. Oh shit. Oh my god, what if he burned, like, people who could claim him? Did we think this through? Oh, fuck. Ah! Vermos is, he's like, I'm eating something. I'm eating somebody. Ooh. Okay, Rhaenyra. Fuck! Oh, I love the camera! Okay! House of the Dragons putting their fucking... This is their best episode out of the entire show. I'm loving it. This feels like House of the Dragon. This feels like old Valyria, like sacrificing all of those slaves to keep, well, allegedly sacrificing all those slaves in the fires to keep the magic of Valyria going. Like, this episode feels like the most Targaryen Valyrian episode. The darkness and the blood and the fire and the deity worship. Or not. Okay, Hugh. Commanded him, and he's listening.
Come on!
like the distortion from the flames, just the chaos of this moment, and now there's like a peace. Okay. What a scene. This moment, this entire sequence felt the most title, like House of the Dragon. This felt worthy of the title of House of the Dragon. This scene was epic. Silverwing's like, who disrupts my sleep? His ass is turned around like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Oh shit. Ooh, what an interesting design. This probably looks like the most unique design outside of Craxes.
However, in happier tidings, Prince Darren's dragon Sasarian has at last taken to wing. Your brother expects to join the fight soon.
A dragon? Did they just like show up? So they just immediately went to King's Landing where fucking Vhagar's big ass. Oh, it's Ulf. Oh, maybe he couldn't control where Silverwing is going. No, what? What is Vhagar trying to do? Flee? Oh. Oh. Yeah, and the man who murdered your son. That fury must be deep. Now Craxes just needs to join the fray, and then we got something going on. There we go. Can you imagine if Daemon was on Dragonstone and then Jacaerys came out and Baela came out too? Oh my god. All of them there. We rolling now. Hey. Okay, so that was my favorite episode, definitely of the season. Whether or not it's like my favorite episode from the whole series thus far, not sure yet, but it's definitely my favorite episode this entire season. It really gave me everything I've wanted from House of the Dragon, particularly from Team Black. Like just for like from the very beginning when Rhaenyra flies out to go confront Adam. And he immediately pledges fealty, not to mention that opening shot of both of their dragons on opposing sides, and then, you know, them slowly, not just Adam and Rhaenyra, but also the dragons slowly coming closer as Rhaenyra kind of questions Adam as to not just, you know, how he came across, you know, claiming sea smoke, but also why does he kneel so quickly? And I do think just Adam claiming sea smoke, or sea smoke in a way claiming Adam, kind of reinvigorated Rhaenyra, like, and it kind of gave her hope and confirmation that, you know, Stefan did die, but the plan in and of itself wasn't like foolhardy. Like, it had merit. It wasn't Stefan Darkland. But Adam proves that this plan has teeth and that they just need to keep trying. And so I think for Adam, he sees this as, because the dragons are very much viewed as gods. So he sees sea smoke going out and finding him, or like Rhaenyra says, ordained. Like, this is God's work. Like, they're really bringing up, like, it's interesting because, not to say that Team Black was devoid of religious talk, but a lot of the religious aspects we've gotten in the series as a whole has always been in Alicent's world. Like, Alicent's world has always been very heavily entrenched with religious views and gods and faith, and it's her character that has always been our religious touchstone in the show from season 1. And now we're sort of seeing Team Black really amp up the religious rhetoric. It was from the very first scene with Adam kind of, proclaiming, not to mention in the last episode we saw with the small folk kind of saying, the dragons are gods. And it's interesting that I believe it was Hugh that said it's just meat, and now he's claiming a dragon. So it really does make you wonder whether or not, how does someone who has seen, I think Hugh is one of our more interesting POVs, because he has the imagery of seeing Maylee's dead, like the head just being carted around and rotted, and just the way it was brought through the city just really kind of dismantled the godlike rhetoric that surrounds it. So he's standing in that room, not to get ahead of myself, but he's standing in that room listening to Rhaenyra give this grand speech, and his daughter just died of starvation, and that dragon was essentially meat in his eyes. Or I'm not sure if she died of starvation, but she did die in a time where they couldn't even put food in her belly. So I think Hugh, I'm really interested to see more of that character, and where he certainly goes down the line. I think seeds, not to be, tongue-in-cheek, but seeds were definitely sowed here, not just in terms of the dragon seed claiming dragons, but also future plot points are definitely being set up in this episode the heaviest. I think right off from the very beginning of the episode, there were seeds being sown towards, like I said, the show is so different from the allegations of what we get from Fire and Blood, that you can really go anywhere you want with it in this case, which the show has gone anywhere it really wants with it. So to say like where Rhaenyra ends up, and you can start to see like little kindlings of her worldview being shifted in this episode, I don't even know where Rhaenyra's character ends up in the show. So I can't even say that you're starting to see little kindlings prop up. I mean, they've been there since season 1, but I think they're very strong in this episode. From the very first scene in her line of questioning with Adam, I think there was a lot of a foreshadowing in that moment. But Sea Smoke claiming Adam really does reinvigorate Rhaenyra, and it's like, okay, this plan has teeth. She goes back to Dragonstone, and she's like going through all of the scrolls and talking with Mysaria, and it's Mysaria who comes up with the idea of like, let's not search through the highborn and the nobles and the lords and the ladies. Let's search somewhere lower, because chances are in the lowborn you'll have the strongest blood connection. I mean, we saw Aegon's children being like abandoned in these fighting pits in season 1, so you can definitely see where Mysaria is coming from. Like, yeah, you probably have more, like the bloodline isn't as diluted per se in lowborn as it probably is in nobility, strangely enough. So, and you do see Rhaenyra kind of rub up against this idea of like, okay, lowborn claiming dragons, Targaryen or not, is very it's kind of sketchy. Like there's a level of predictability that Rhaenyra expects in someone noble. There's allegiances there. You can probably figure out what they want or where they'll go, and there's a fealty there, and there's a trust there, and just these people, you've heard of their names, you know their families, you know their mother and father and their mother and father, it's all written down. Whereas with the lowborn, like it's just a big old question mark, like she has no idea. And I think Mysaria kind of says, look at your own brothers, like they're princes and they're fighting against you with dragons. So I think there's this, I think that this entire endeavor really starts to broach class questions and the expectations of honor and fealty that is supposedly supposed to be within, or like character traits of noble people. Like they're noble is a characteristic to be noble, but in this case it's a characteristic given to blood, and it's an expectation that individuals should carry themselves simply because their blood is noble. It's not a characteristics, it's more of a categorization of like I think it's just power. That's what it really comes down to it. It's having power and the name holding power and weight and value in the world. So there's like this bucking of tradition going on here, and just having lowborns claim dragons and saying, let's build an army of bastards. But then this entire endeavor really just, it kind of opens up wounds in Jace that I think were always there. They just never had any. It's like it was a slow bleed, and now it's pouring out of him, and he's like crying to his mother. It's like, on some aspect, you can say, oh, he's just worried about his succession, like his claim to the throne being challenged, and that's definitely in there. But I think it goes even deeper, because there is so much rhetoric surrounding what bastards are, and I do believe that the unfair painting of all bastards is not without credence. It comes from past actions. Like, you do have, there's a reason why they say bastards are monstrous things. They're envious creatures. They're always wanting legitimacy, because that's the way of the world. That's the system and the hierarchy of value and importance and worth is in their world, in the world of Westeros. And of course there's historical references in the structure of Westerosi society that George R. R. Martin has pulled on. So Jace is watching all of these low-born bastards claiming dragons, and it's like they're like stepping on his heart, because claiming a dragon was his protection from being not worthy, not of great value. It's I don't think it's necessarily, well, it is entitlement, it is an arrogance, but in Jace's case, it's his identity and the balm, because you're taught in Westeros society that bastards are monsters, they're evil creatures, and that's what he's been whispered about all his life. And Rhaenyra, it's interesting because we see Rhaenyra and you sympathize with her. You know, she's a woman, she's being thought less than simply because of her sex, and then you sympathize with her because of that plight she's being subjected to. But then you have someone like Jace, who is born a man and a prince and all of this, but he also exposes another flip side of this society of being illegitimate. He bears the last name Velaryon, but physically, his physical features don't match. So he's forced to live a lie. It'd be one thing to live illegitimacy. It's another to live both illegitimacy and a lie, and having to pretend like every time you walk into a room, everyone sees it, and it's the elephant in the room. You are the elephant in the room, and there's a level of self-delusions that you would imagine Jacaerys would have to have engaged in order to keep his sanity. And that's why I was so happy to get that scene with Jacaerys. Like, that was his best scene, and that's why I've really wanted more of him. I've said it's such a shame that this season only gets 8 episodes. Like, I feel like the show has gone way too fast in terms of really getting the opportunity to explore the complexities that these characters should have, just given their situations, particularly Jacaerys being a bastard and not having the physical, being legitimate by name, but having none of the physical features that back that legitimacy up, and having to bear that shame. He's ashamed. It's shame and self-hate that is bearing on him, and his own mother is exposing him to those ridicules even more, because like he says, once you're dead, like his mother was his protection from those bastardy claims, but once she's dead, there's nothing protecting him, and he's all on his own in a lot of ways to deal with that. Because I mean, Joffrey isn't even a character. I mean, Joffrey's a lot older by the time all of this happens. Like, that little it's said that he wanted to get on a dragon and ride out too. Like, Joffrey was with it. Like, we haven't seen Joffrey or heard of Joffrey. He's just kind of like the bonus child. But Joffrey did have some alleged, because everything's alleged in Fire and Blood, moments that clearly the character that we have here is just too young to do. Now, Jace is like kind of begging his mom not to do it, because it's like shattering his identity, and it's forcing him to confront a lot of pain that I think he's been able to push down because there has been no direct threat. But these dragon seeds are a threat to his identity, to his self-esteem, his self-worth, which in that moment, that word mongrel really tells you a lot of how Jace probably feels about himself. A lot of self-hate in that child. And I think Rhaenyra, interestingly enough, like I said during the reaction, there's something that is interesting with all parent-child relationships. It's like when a parent is your sole provider, your protection, it's all on them. And that's the only tunnel, that's the only thing they can see. They're the ones dealing with the stress. They're the ones dealing with the backlash. They're the ones dealing with all of the big questions that you can't even possibly understand, let alone have a solution to, because that is what the parent's job is, to protect you and answer that for you. But somewhere along the way, parents forget that this child will have to live on with every choice you make. That child is inheriting the consequences, good and bad. And so for Rhaenyra, I don't think Rhaenyra has ever really stopped to understand that Jace lives with being a bastard. They're like, she's like, they whisper this about my children. Let's build an army of bastards. Rhaenyra only knows the whispers. She only knows the shame that I gave birth to bastards. But Rhaenyra will never know the shame of being a bastard. That is a separation between mother and son. He is actually the bastard. She may have given birth to him, but he's the one who has to bear that. He's the one who has to walk into a room full of Velaryons and not look anything like them. He's the one who has to stand next to Baela and Rhaena and not look anything like them, even though that is his father's sister's children. And Daemon is Rhaenyra's uncle, and yet there is some kind of connection here. 3 boys, and none of them look a lick of Baela and Rhaena. Hell, there's the Laena and Laenor is also another example of what could they look like given the father's black and the mother's white. You have that example right there too, and these children look nothing like Velaryons, nothing like Targaryens. like whose white baby's this? Essentially is what the question is. And so having to bear that, it can be so much. And I think Jace is, just like I said, like this bottle of anger, but he's also a bottle of very low self-esteem and self-hate. And I think Rhaenyra will never truly understand that, because she'll never be a bastard. She gave birth to a bastard, but she'll never bear that weight. And you can say they have the last name Velaryon, they have the legal last name, all you want, but it does not change what people know when they see them. And Aegon said it best. We all fucking know. And it's even worse because you're gaslighting us into believing something we know is not true. It's like you're telling us we're stupid. Like, we have eyes, we can see, and we're all just supposed to pretend that we don't see it. And ultimately, Rhaenyra lived with that shame and that kind of persecution. Like, oh my God, they know my sin, they know my sin. I slept outside my marriage and I gave birth to bastards. That's my sin. That's my sin. They're like, throwing stones at me. But ultimately, that's not your sin. Jace is that child, and so is Lucerys, and so is Joffrey. They have to actually bear that. And I like that scene. I really, that was my favorite Jacaerys scene, and I think there's so much to explore there, and hopefully the show does. But given this is like the penultimate episode of season 2, and then you have season 3, it's like, it sucks that we haven't gotten more of Jace in season 1, and I really think there was space for a season 2 in there. Like, there really was space for season 2 where Viserys isn't dead yet. Like, Viserys could have died in season 2 and the war could have kicked off and we could have gotten like Lucerys's death at the end of a season 2, but I just feel like there's just so much that was skipped over. I'm really going to be one of those people who felt like, yeah, this could have been done a lot slower and a lot more thoughtfully in terms of the characters' complexities, because I do think you only get like a little nugget of moment where you get it. You get like a small bit, and then you're kind of like, oh, okay, plot has to happen now. And so we shut down these big character moments, and they're so few and far between. And it's like plot steamrolling everything. But this is still my favorite episode. Like, I know it seems like I'm complaining, but it's like, I'm complaining because I would love more scenes like that one, like between Jacaerys and Rhaenyra. Give me all of that, like, complex, delicious self-hate and pain and love and resentment and anger and confusion. That is gold right there. That is narrative gold. And the fact that the writers just haven't dug into it, oh, that's like such a miss for me. Like, they're just now scratching the surface. So I really want them to dig into it and like really give me the good dialogue and the good characterization and the development between mother and son. Like, give it all to me. Now, Rhaenyra is going forward with the plan. Like, they gather all of the dragon seeds, and the dragon keepers are like, no, no, this is blasphemy. This is an abomination. And you can imagine, like, I wish the show had gotten into like Targaryen exceptionalism and the doctrine and just these ideologies that, like, the Targaryens are above it all, and really delve into society's view of Targaryens rather than just being said. It's like showed in their interactions. I would have loved to have seen like a scene where the Targaryens like kind of mingle with the small folk, and you really see the reverence and how they view them to be gods. Just a bit more of that, like to establish this moment where Rhaenyra comes in, and it's such a powerful moment where she has to choose. Like, I think this is Rhaenyra's strongest episode ever. Like, in the entire series, this was Rhaenyra's strongest episode. This was a lot of, I think this was both Jacaerys and Rhaenyra's strongest episodes. Rhaenyra finally found what I've wanted for her. I don't care if Rhaenyra is doing the wrong thing. Like, that was never my gripe with her character. My gripe with her character was just her directionlessness, and given the space and the time she's had to confront that within, not necessarily within the passage of show, like by episode by episode, but the amount of time that has passed within House of the Dragon, like, you know, year by year by year, 10 years at King's Landing, 6 years on Dragonstone, and then God knows how much time has passed since Viserys' death, given Rhaena has managed to travel back, to the Eyrie, now leaving, and Jace has gone to Winterfell and back. Like, a lot of traveling has happened, and it's left me to assume that months have passed in season 2. Like, a lot of time has passed before episode 2 even took off. Now, I must say, there's a lot of complications to Rhaenyra's plans, but I enjoy seeing her choose whatever the consequences or the cons are. She may not know them yet, and we may not even see her engage in trying to predict what the cons and the consequences are and trying to preempt them. And if she does, how does she go about preempting these consequences or these cons to this plan? Regardless if she does, I love seeing her choose a path and pursuing it. I think there are, like I said in the reaction, this plan, you are solving a succession crisis by opening yourself up to another one. This plan is 1000% a succession crisis waiting to happen. It's like you gave birth to bastards, and now you're welcoming other bastards to claim a dragon. It's like, you are creating another, your father created a succession crisis, and now you are creating another one. It's really bad now. However, I like that the show has kind of said, she has to kind of accept these consequences, these cons that may come her way, and she may have to like do things in order to mitigate those risks to Jacaerys, because I do think Rhaenyra understands he's not wrong. She herself voiced these concerns to Mysaria, so she can understand where Jacaerys is coming from. And it's not like she doesn't love her son or that she's particularly a bad mother. I do find her to be a loving mom, so she's not going to see her son like that and just kind of say, oh, whatever, shut up, deal with it. I do think Rhaenyra will try to do her best to mitigate these risks to Jacaerys' claim in a way that Viserys did not do for her, because Viserys I think there are plenty of things Viserys could have done to secure Rhaenyra's throne. Partially, well, not partially, but in point, abdicating the throne while your ass was still living would have been great. While he was king, he certainly could have ordered Alicent away to Old Town. Send her back. You have the authority to do that. Send her ass back, fire Otto, and then have Rhaenyra take the throne. Send the boys, you know, if you have to send Aegon to Squire in Old Town, send another one to Winterfell, send one to the Eyrie. Put distance between Rhaenyra and the dragon rider brothers that she has. Send Alicent and Otto away, and then abdicate the throne to Rhaenyra and have her build her own council and let her insulate herself and protect herself. There are plenty of things Viserys could have done to mitigate the risk. He would not have been able, I do not say Viserys had the ability to eliminate any and all risk to Rhaenyra's claim to the throne. There is no conceivable way he could have done that, but he absolutely could have done more to mitigate those risks against her, and he did none of them. In fact, he opened her up even more to being challenged with that, and Rhaenyra didn't help herself in any regard either. Like, both of them really fucked up. And now with Jacaerys, and my hope for Rhaenyra is that hearing Jacaerys communicate, open up his mouth and say it. He like Rhaenyra does, is Rhaenyra going forward can't claim to not know that this can backfire and create a succession crisis. Jacaerys looked her in the eye and told her this can backfire and create many claimants to that throne that can challenge not only me, but hell, they can challenge your ass too. Like, let's think this through and come up with a plan. So hopefully now that Rhaenyra is aware and someone has told her the cons of this plan, she can create some kind, like she can preempt these risks and try to find a way to make sure that they do not challenge for the throne. Like, hopefully she goes about making sure this is not a threat somewhere down the line. So yeah, I'm not mad at Rhaenyra for this plan whatsoever. I am glad there's a confidence to her, there's a sureness, and even when the Dragon Keepers reject her idea, she just has to keep going forward. There's no other option in front of her. If there was, I feel like Rhaenyra would have taken it. Rhaenyra tried going for peace for far too long, in my opinion. Should have threw that shit away a long time ago. But even to her credit, she kept pursuing peace. I think both because she knew peace was the better option, and two, she just didn't know what else to do that. I honestly think it was also a matter of, what the fuck am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to challenge this when I don't even have the allies, let alone the army or the dragons, to even make an attempt to go to war? So it was like, it was a combination of don't want war and two, don't have the means for war either. So seeing her have these obstacles, Jacaerys is posing an obstacle. The Dragon Keepers are denouncing this as an abomination and blasphemous towards the dragons and their divineness, and having lowborns. Like, what is a lowborn? Like, what is nobility? What is noble blood? Like, what does it all really amount to in the end? Which is what Mysaria was telling Rhaenyra. Like, look at what your own brothers did. They're princes, and look what they've done. So how can you turn away and say that because they're lowborn or they don't have legitimate last names or where they live makes them any lesser or any better than your own noble brothers? So it's like, you know, you got to pick your poison. And so I like the fact that many cons were brought to Rhaenyra and she heard them out, she listened, but she still has to keep going forward. You know, she has to, because there is no other option in front of her. Like, it is what it is. And that's what I've always kind of wanted Rhaenyra to kind of get to the space of understanding, that there is no viable option for you but going forward into this. And and once you accept that war is really your bet, and that death is part of it, then you can kind of get ahead of it. Once you claim it, once you accept it, you're able to see more. Because once you're like rejecting it outright, you're not like seeing the field as it is. You're obscuring so much of the viewpoint to your own eyes. So seeing Rhaenyra step into it and watching her, like when she sees Vermithor like burning everyone, and she's kind of like closing her eyes to it but opening it, and there's like this dark acceptance. Like, that scene was so dark, and there was something so Valyrian. Like, you know how they say they in the mountain, the volcanoes, they would throw the slaves into there for their blood magic. It was so dark, so majestic. Seeing Vermithor, that was the best the dragons have looked throughout the entire show. That scene of Vermithor coming out and her telling him to serve and calm and bringing all the people and controlling the moment, it felt like Rhaenys hope for her to rise came about. And I also find it very interesting, Rhaenyra did not appear in front of that council the entire episode. She was not at that council table at all. Fuck that council. And that's another avenue I'm glad that she went, because it's like, either you gain control of this fucking council or you give them the boot and don't even recognize them at this point, like, until you become of service. Like, and I also think it's because this is not their purview. Like, y'all don't know war either. And two, you definitely can't like put your feet into the world of dragons. This is beyond you. So it's like Rhaenyra has to kind of go at it herself without her useless ass counsel. Anyways, that scene of everyone running and the dragon just like sniffing them out, eating some, burning some, claiming them, and everyone like running around, there was just something so, I can't find the word. It's brutal and beautiful. It's like you're watching this magic creature, like a dragon is a magical creature in the world of A Song of Ice and Fire, go throughout all of these potential dragon riders, these potential Valyrian descendants, and look for someone they deem worthy, something that calls out to them, a bond that is united in blood but not necessarily character. And it's like, how do you, like, what is it? Like, what is it about a person that a dragon chooses you? And you see here, and it's interesting because Rhaenyra had such calm control over Vermithor. And we also saw Daemon sing to Vermithor in season 1 finale. And it does make me wonder about the interactions of a dragon a dragon rider that has claimed a dragon approaching another unclaimed dragon. No, you're not attempting to ride the dragon, but I do wonder if there's a level of, because I know if like, and I'm saying unclaimed because there's really nothing for them to sort of protect in terms of their dragon rider, as we saw with Sea Smoke and Cyrax and Adam and Rhaenyra in the beginning of the episode, the way Sea Smoke reacted. And Sea Smoke, you would imagine Rhaenyra is very familiar with Sea Smoke, especially considering Rhaena tried to claim him, and he was Laenor, so Rhaenyra has history with Sea Smoke. However, because he's now being claimed and ridden by Adam, if she's a threat, he will respond regardless of that familiarity that you would imagine Rhaenyra would have with Sea Smoke. So it really does make me wonder what the relationship between a dragon rider and an unclaimed dragon that is not their own, just that ability to walk up to him, put her hand on him, calm him, and just make him more receptive to the idea of being ridden. Of course, he definitely goes, our Bronze Fury goes on a rampage, but that moment, the flames, the darkness, the blur, the audio, it was just fantastic. I think that scene, the claiming of Vermithor, was probably top 2 scenes of House of the Dragon for me. Top 2. Gorgeous scene. The directing was beautiful. The animation of Vermithor was gorgeous. The acting was great. Hugh claiming him and to protect that young girl who he probably saw his own daughter, and she just recently died, or maybe, I don't know the age of that young girl, but I would imagine she probably on some level echoed his daughter. And just seeing him step up into a protective stance in order to back Vermithor off of her was beautiful. This was a great moment, a shining moment for House of the Dragon that really just, it echoed fantasy. Like, this was such a fantasy moment. The layers of cruelty and magic and the fantastical elements of something that is ordained by the gods. So they say, like, this is God's work, but there's something so dark. Seeing people run and scream and get killed, sort of like Ants, this dragon, and Rhaenyra kind of letting, like, sort of being the conductor of this moment, having semi-control, but not really. Like, it's just, oh, it was so great. It was great. It was great. This was a shining moment for House of the Dragon, and it definitely, for me, saved my opinion on this season, because I'm not too big on season 2 so far as a whole. What we've seen happen, I feel like it's just a whole lot of, like, okay, this happens and then nothing really comes of it, and this happens and then nothing really comes of it. But this moment here, it makes it feel, all of those other episodes, it feels like, okay, this is my reward for the 6 earlier episodes, which, granted, I do think there was, like, a lot of shining moments. Like, that fight between Daemon and Rhaenyra was a really good moment of acting that really stuck with me. So, and that the very first hallucination of Daemon, where Millie Alcock popped up and she was sewing Jaehaerys's head on, that was another, like, really haunting, gorgeous scene. I wish the hallucinations kept that eeriness, but somewhere along the way they just became a little too much, like too often, too frequent, too much, which I guess that's probably how Daemon's feeling, is all too much. But either way, that's how I feel about these hallucinations. I've been talking like for over 30 minutes now, and I haven't even gotten to Daemon's part. So let's get into Daemon. Daemon secures the River Lords and the army through our little dear Oscar Tully, who has grown so much since when we first met him. And I want to say maybe episode 3 is when we first met him, or episode 4, but he has grown so much. And I really do like how smart he is. He's very smart, like the way he interacted. And I think that scene where he's interacting with Daemon privately versus when he's doing so publicly, and the shift in the way he speaks to him, and you kind of got the sense that someone was going to have to be sacrificed, because these River Lords are rightfully pissed. So someone is going to have to, like, take the fall. And I do think it's really interesting because Willem carries this out on behalf of Daemon. Like, Daemon gave him the okay, and he went all out. Like, Daemon did not expect everything he did. Like, even Daemon was taken back when the River Lords told him everything that the Willem Blackwood sort of did. Is like, hold on now, I didn't okay all of this. But and it's interesting because it kind of like puts him in the position of Rhaenyra. Like when Rhaenyra says, "Bring me Aemond," but they end up giving her Jaehaerys' head in a way. So it's like, I didn't say all that. I said Aemond, and I kind of feel like Daemon and Rhaenyra are sort of paralleled there, where you kind of unleashed this monster and it went too far. It's like, hold on now. And it's interesting that Daemon has to be the one to chop off Willem, when in a way it's like, dude, that could have been Rhaenyra to you for going too far. Like, if that was recompense for taking the head of Prince Jaehaerys, then what should have been done to Daemon for that? Like, it really does beg the question of whether or not this will help Daemon relate to Rhaenyra more, and him going too far in terms of like setting loose blood and cheese to kind of go after anyone if they can't find Aemond. It's like you're letting loose hounds to tear anything and anyone apart, and the most innocent person or persons involved, given Helena witnessed it, were hurt by it, and he just couldn't understand, or he could, but he just didn't want to admit to it, that it was too much, like this was wrong to do to Helena and the boy. But either way, Oscar came through. Willem was a scapegoat. I mean, he did do it, but Daemon did, Daemon did not have to pay the price, because he's a prince, or king as he likes to call himself. Well, he's technically king consort, whatever. He didn't have to pay the price because of his title, whereas Willem, you're not as high up as our dear rogue prince, so you got the chop. But at least we have the River Lords, and that's good going forward. We have Sea Smoke, Silverwing, Vermithor, Caraxes, Moondancer, Vermax, Syrax. We got 7 motherfuckers, and all they got is Vhagar. That pretty much is like an overwhelming show of strength and force that you hope will get Vhagar and Aemond to back the fuck down and like use all 7 dragons. Rhaena is out there looking to claim, I don't know what wild dragon there is. The only wild dragon that was spoken of that was outside of the Dragon Mount, beyond Sea Smoke flying around occasionally, was Sheep Stealer, but Sheep Stealer was claimed by Nettles. I am very curious as to where we're going with this with Rhaena, because it seems like she's tried, because even when in season 1, when Daemon said all unclaimed, the camera did pan to Rhaena, and now we're seeing Rhaena chase this dragon. And if Rhaena goes through, and I feel like you don't have a character go through all of this without it meaning something. Like, she's going out there, like first she's randomly walking, and then we see the dragon bones, and now she's like not going with the boys to Pentos. So it's like, okay, what's going on with Rhaena's storyline here? So it does make me wonder if what I'm thinking is going to happen with Rhaena's character. But we got a shit ton of dragons on our side. Yeah, we got, and Aemon now knows that. Aemon rolled up and saw just 3 of what we got. All he saw was Silverwing, Syrax, and Vermithor. But baby, if Moondancer and Baela came out, if Vermax and Jacaerys came out, who am I forgetting? Well, I said 7. So did I mistake someone, or did I say twice? Did I make a mistake? It's Rhaenyra and Syrax. God, my voice is going. Rhaenyra and Syrax. Moondancer and Baela. Ulf and Silverwing. Hugh and Vermithor. Daemon Caraxes. Who am I missing? Did I say Jacaerys and Vermax? Well, once Rhaena, so if I'm assuming what correctly, if she does end up claiming this wild dragon, now we got 7. I misspoke. We got 6. I don't know where I got 7. Maybe I was counting whatever the hell Rhaena's doing out there, which I think she's going to claim a dragon. Like, you don't do all of this for her not to claim the dragon. But either way, we got a shit ton of dragons on our side, and hopefully in the next episode, which is the finale, which I may not go into next, depending on how much time I got. But hopefully we get Daemon and Rhaenyra reuniting, and we get Vermax. We get Caraxes back in the fold. We got a land army. We got the Valerian fleet. We got 6, maybe 7 upcoming dragons. Let's fucking take King's Landing and drag Vhagar's the old hoary bitch, as Sarah said, and drag her ass out of King's Landing. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all for the finale. Take care, everyone.